You're listening to Force Majeure, an actual play Star Wars podcast. My name is Adam and I'm your host, and today's episode will be brought to you after these words from our sponsors. Hello everybody and welcome back to Galaxy Chat. I remain your host, Steuben Fremley, and I've got here with me the prestigious but controversial xenologist Rikshak Umi Fraken, author of the book that's causing such a stir at the moment in the Outer Rim. Welcome to the show, Rikshak.
Thank you, Steuben. Though I have to say, the furore my book has caused seems entirely blown out of proportion for what it's about. And it's precisely this form of manufactured outrage that makes it very hard to have a reasoned scientific debate these days. It's just very sad that this is where we've come to.
Yes, indeed, and I know there's in fact been such an uproar in some places that I hear a bounty has been placed on you. Exciting stuff. Can you remind us a little bit about your book and what's it called?
Yes, my book is a detailed treatise called Talk to the Tale, Why Barribels Are Inherently Superior to Trandoshans.
I can see why that's made you unpopular, Rikshak. Any chance you can pressy for us why you feel Barribels are superior?
Well, Steuben, the answer is in the title!
We'll be right back after these messages. Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 3, chapter 3 of the Coldfire Chronicles. My name is Adam and I am the GM for this story arc, and I'm joined round the table by a bevy of wonderful players who are going to introduce themselves and their characters to you shortly, and as they do so they're going to answer me this question. Given that he has seemingly disappeared, what does Pyjak mean to you?
Hi, I'm Mim. I play Lassa, a human sentinel artisan whose strength is curiosity and her weakness is obsession. And to Lassa, Pyjak is very much a transient friend. They were getting quite close. He got her into meditation. It was all very nice and relaxed. She wasn't completely in on his I believe in the Force kind of stuff, the same way that you tolerate your friend who believes in spiritual stuff if you're not that way inclined. But yes, they haven't always shared the same beliefs, but they got on very well. They were getting closer, but finding out that he was an affected clone trooper and that he's got a lot of troubles has put a bit of a wedge between them. Was getting a little bit protective and defensive of him, but now he's a bit of a risk or a danger, and it's really strained their relationship. She's worried about him. She wants to find him, but she's aware that the reason for finding him isn't just to look after him, it's also because he's a loose cannon out there.
Hi, I'm Mikey. I play Jiren. He's a Chiss mystic advisor. His emotional strength is his enthusiasm, but his emotional weakness is his recklessness. Jiren feels a bit guilty, to be honest, because we knew there was something wrong with Pyjak all the way back on Daxos when he turned on us, and we did nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. We knew that he could turn at any point, and we assumed it was something to do with what 10th Brother had said, but we really needed to look into that. He was obviously very messed up, and we were too concerned about running away and getting ourselves sorted. So he feels that he's let Pyjak down and wants to sort that out. Pyjak's his friend, and you don't leave your friends in predicament. Whilst we're in a predicament, I think he's in more of one, even though he's got the ship.
Hi, my name's Ed Fortune, and I play Oberon Prick, who is a hunter-seeker, human hunter-seeker, indeed. His strength is justice, and his weakness is cruelty. He sees Pyjak as, on the one hand, when he is angry, and when he is angry, he tends to be cruel. It's easy for him to see Pyjak as one of many surrogate father figures who have yet again let him down. But when he's being more rational and being kinder to himself, he's just very worried about his friend.
My name's Ross. I play Agatha, a Morailan warrior aggressor colossus, whose emotional strength is his pride, but whose weakness is his anger. I think Agatha's relationship to Pyjak is, he, like Oberon, Pyjak sort of become a sort of surrogate father figure possibly the first sort of protectorate connection he made while on Daxos. And I don't think Agatha thinks he's been let down by Pyjak. Clearly the point where he turned on us was a momentary blip, but Agatha's spent most of his life around people who could, turn around and shoot you at the moment's notice. So, I mean, obviously that was a moment of betrayal, but it's not the only thing that defines his relationship with Pyjak. It's not the thing that defines that relationship. And at the minute, he's really concerned for his friend who, yes, he's been messed up, but who has been spent most of the last week we were conscious for, trying to recover, trying to regain some strength, trying to find some place in it. And we've spent most of that week actually pursuing that. We've got involved in the rebellion, which we weren't necessarily planning on doing before that. And now I'm just concerned for my friend.
Where we last left our heroes, they had exited the Jedi Temple and found that Pyjak had gone, taking with him the Coldfire's mercy. Upon returning to the base camp, they found an emaciated and badly used Prinkle, seemingly in thrall to the mysterious orb recovered from the cost of the barroom. Prinkle, it seems, had also had an encounter with Pyjak and had been stun-shot by their missing friend. The last episode ended with Prinkle in the medical bay, attached to the autosurgeon there, having much needed fluids replaced into him, and the orb being placed into Jiren's bag with a stern admonition not to tell Prinkle anything. Players.
Agatha thinks if we are stranded here, we should check what resources we have. Is there an inventory or...
I think we're being a little bit presumptuous. Vitaara, it seems like we're stranded. I'm sorry to impose upon you. We'd like to leave and find our friend as soon as possible, so our end goal would be to know if there's any other ships on this planet apart from yours, obviously.
Not as far as I'm aware. I mean, the Empire abandoned it, several years ago, so no, I think there might be junked ships, but I very much doubt that they'll be in any way functional. I think it might just be mine. I've not found anything, potentially, except for mine.
Agatha has a point. How much money do we have? Who can we pay? What can we do to get off this world? What services do we need to perform in order for us to pursue our friend? Because we cannot impose on Vitaara. He says, pointing at Vitaara, we cannot impose on one person without surely payment. So what do we have, and what can we pay?
Well, I do not have much. We didn't have much cause for money in the health spa we were in.
Agatha has an idea. Agatha knows someone. Agatha is not sure you're going to like who this is.
We all stand there looking, waiting.
A long time ago, I knew a man named Karkash. He was a hunter of people. He might be able to help us find Pyjak.
Agatha, it's a good idea. I like it. It is nice. I like you bringing ideas but we are still stuck on the planet.
I could potentially get you off-world, but you'd need to tell me where you need to go and, reimburse me for the fuel and time lost.
I was only thinking we could try to send him a signal and bring him here.
I'm assuming he's a gilded bounty hunter. I don't think we have anything to pay a gilded bounty hunter with that we would want to give to a gilded bounty hunter.
You mentioned services a moment ago. We are force-sensitive people who can get into and out of places.
Well, we might be force sensitive, but I don't think it's the kind of thing where you just put an ad out saying, do you have a problem that needs the force? Call us. I don't think it's something you advertise.
If you can find us, maybe you can hire.
We are capable people. I don't want to advertise because we don't want... Pyjak tried to protect us. He tried to keep us away from spying eyes. And to be fair, for all I know, Karkash might be hired by 10th Brother to hunt us down anyway. So it is a suggestion.
Agatha, the first time I manifested my force abilities in public, I found myself on a isolated world doing hard labour. Then I found myself hunted down by what I can only be described as a dark Jedi.
Are you saying it wasn't just your winning personality that caused that?
No, it happened to me as well, and my personality is very winning.
Can we continue to talk about what I'm now starting to consider is the power source, the orb?
Mm-hmm.
All right, but is Prinkle going to be all right if we close the door and step away from him for a bit?
Yeah, so the medical bay that you've got here, the autosurgeon that he's wired to, as I alluded to last episode, it is a sophisticated but extremely limited droid brain. that runs it. While he's connected to it, it will monitor him to the best ability of some of the top range kind of surgical droids out there. He will be absolutely perfectly fine to be left alone in here. It's in working order. The reason it hasn't been taken with the Empire when they pulled out is the same reason they left this base here. It's just not worth the expense to relocate everything. They just left it here.
Okay.
But it will look after Prinkle. Also, it is very handy to assist in other sorts of surgeries, like, for example, installing cybernetics.
Ooh.
Adam, for now, I'm just going to reach over with my arm and close my eyes and just connect Prinkle to the Force and try and ease his pain. I don't know if he's down any wounds, but I'm still going to try and heal him. I know it's mostly he's dehydrated and I can't really help with that, but it'll make me feel better, I think, if I do this.
Yep.
So I got 2 light side points and 1 dark side. I think we're going to shy away from the dark side a little bit. I think it's probably more of an exchange. There's probably a lot of negative energy in Prinkle right now. I'll feel that and I'll nurture the better feelings, the feelings of companionship and friendship that he's got over the last few weeks. And I'll just force that in a little bit more and give him, that would be 6 wounds back if he's down any. I mean, I know he probably isn't, but you know.
Yeah, he's not down any wounds, but the healing power, I think really the wrapping him in that blanket of friendship and regard and worth, because you do value Prinkle, and you can feel that one of the things that seems to have made him susceptible to the influence, to the need to use this orb, is a deep-seated insecurity within him because of his life to this point.
Yeah.
You almost pluck those thorns from his soul. Maybe not permanently, but enough. And again, you see him physically relax and a very slight smile on his unconscious face. And his eyelids flutter as if he's starting to dream. And his sleep turns from being that forced unconsciousness to a peaceful, restful, healthy, healing sleep. And some of the colour starts to go back to his fur and his features just relax. He looks at peace.
Jiren's features mirror what's happening to Prinkle because he's sharing the same emotions while he's doing this. He opens his eyes and says, I think he'll be okay for a while. We can go out into the main room.
Please, I would like to talk about the orb a little bit more.
Yeah. Let's not do it in here, though.
So when we change rooms, and I'm assuming we all have a brew, because that's how this party do.
So we star wipe away to a few minutes later, sat in what was the main kind of mess hall for this.
The orb has been taken out and put in the centre of the table dramatically.
And Vitaara did say at the original, when they were coming back, that she was going to get some food on, so she'll be doing that, getting some rations out for everyone.
Oh, you're a love.
Sally, I imagine, has been left with the party just there. Deet is standing guard at the door.
Oberon says, so I think Larsa is right. I don't think this is inherently evil. I think it is inherently dangerous. This is the way I think about it. I don't understand how to repair a starship. I can fly a starship, I can operate a starship, I'm an experienced starship crew. However, there are signs everywhere around the reactor that basically say that I shouldn't use the starship's reactor to warm my hands or to toast drinks. I shouldn't use the starship reactor in a whole load of different ways. There's stories about Wookiees losing all of their hair, misusing the starship reactor, because the starship reactor is extremely dangerous, and I don't understand how it works, so I take every single measure that I can to make sure that all my hair doesn't fall out, and, I die. What I see here is I think Larsa's right, it's a power source, and we don't understand how to use it safely. And I think our friend Prinkle has been, rather than having his teeth fall out, I think his mind or his essential essence, something has been damaged by this, by exposure to this device, and we do not have the knowledge or the skill to create a containment for it, never mind harnessing it.
Okay, what I think it does is just embellishes, it powers whatever powers you already have. And for us, the powers are quite obvious. I can do things with healing and mind, you can do things with engineering, and Prinkle does not have that powers, but what he has is a lot of insecurity, and it has powered that.
Repressed emotions and needs.
Exactly. I have an idea about finding out exactly where we need to go. And, Oberon, you're not going to like it.
I have a feeling I know where you're going.
He taps on the pocket, because you've got the lightsaber crystal, right?
Yeah.
He taps on your pocket with a lightsaber crystal and says, "This is a focus for scrying. Is that correct?
As I understand it, yes.
This is a power source. You have two hands," he says somewhat bitterly. You hold the crystal in one hand, you hold the power source in the other hand, and you do your thing. I think we'll find out where we need to go.
Aye, and we'll be here to stop you if you start getting all, I don't know, veiny and evil. It'll be alright.
I would like to try a group meditation first, so we can all connect. I would like to try something new as well.
What do you want to do?
Adam, can I ask for a slightly bizarre liability?
Yeah, by all means.
So going into my pack,
Yeah.
I would like to pull out some small things that are hand-sized. Either something that I've picked up maybe in Port Haven, so either apples or oranges or small fluffy things.
Rocks! We've got thousands and thousands of rocks!
Should we do the same?
No, I have these small hand things. If I want to be very Star Wars, I was going to go, do I have any juggling pogs? But I think that's maybe a bit silly. So overall goes into pack, takes out some stress toys, some little small orby things, and goes, "This is a thing that I used to do with Pyjak, and I think this might help us." I give everyone 1 or 2 balls,
Yeah.
and I start juggling.
Lassa looks unimpressed.
So, just holding the ball,
Just catch and throw, Jiren, just catch and throw.
he looks at his one hand. This might not be great for me.
Just catch and throw.
I'm not left-handed, but okay.
Adam,
Yes.
I would like to use my 4C power that allows me to give other people a vision of initiative, that initiative ability.
Okay. Combat precognition.
Yes.
You see what's about to happen a split second before it does to help you react.
So what I'm doing is I'm going around the group and I'm connecting us using the passing, basically we're passing things to each other in a game.
Yeah.
And this is totally going to end up with one of us being pelted with juggling balls. But essentially, what Oberon starts to do is he starts to weave a pattern with the things. As people throw things at him and he throws things back. And you start to get a precognitive sense as to what's happening next. I'm trying to be extremely gentle with it, if you see what I mean. I'm only calling on the light side of the Force. I'm only calling on the Force, intermittently as well. But I'm slowly but surely kind of building almost like a dance pattern between the group, so we all sync.
Okay. No, I really like that. You're just doing it with your own inherent sense of the Force at the moment. You're not holding the orb while you're doing this, are you? It's just...
I'm not using the orb, I'm not using the crystal, I'm using my suite of Force power, so it's mostly 4C, but I'm also... Sense allows me to kind of pick up emotions. Seek's not much use for this, but Sense and...
Yeah, and 4C. That works for me. Yeah, okay, so...
So yes, I'm trying to build a kind of harmony between the group through the Force.
I mean, are we sat down sort of in our usual circle of 4 formation and passing the things between us?
Yeah, I think sat down because Jiren's only got one arm.
I think you'll find I've got 3, but 2 of them aren't attached.
I would like you, Ed, to make me a leadership test, please, with your Force die included into that, so roll your Force rating as well.
What's my difficulty?
I think your difficulty... So, I'm rationalising this not only for the listeners, but also for myself and for you as I'm speaking this, so if it sounds a little bit measured, that's why. I'm thinking this. It's a cool as hell visual thing, but it is a way of using your powers and your connection to the group that you've never tried before. It's something very, very strange and unusual, and I imagine that despite the links that you've got between you, it probably takes an amount of mental effort to try to push through. Because doing it yourself is one thing, but to share that with the rest of the crew is something else. So I think it's going to be 3 purple. I think it's going to be a hard test. I'm also going to give you, however, 2 boost die because you still have that link, and that link between you has only been made stronger by what you've been through in the Jedi Temple. Now, whether the strength of that connection and your fates will remain this strong, or whether it is a lingering after effect of only having been out of the Jedi Temple for, by your metric, a couple of hours, half a day by this point, is something that we'll see as the story goes. But yes, 3 purple, 2 boost die, leadership test, and roll your force rating as part of it, please.
I take it no one objects to me spending a light side?
No, go for it.
My last question, Ed, is, are you including Vitaara in this circle, or is it just the crew of the Mercy? Is it just you 4?
I will say to Vitaara, we're about to do a force meditation. I've not tried this before in this manner. Would you like to participate?
Would you mind if I observed?
I don't mind at all. Does anyone else have an objection?
No.
No.
No, I like being on camera.
I think we owe her at least that much.
And with force dice you get to pick, don't you?
Yes, you do, but if you want to use the dark side points, so officially you need to flip, as well as taking strain and conflict. You don't have to spend light side points to use dark side pips. That is an internal house rule, because I want them to be more tempting, but you will accrue strain and conflict if you do use dark side pips as part of this.
My force rating is 2. I've rolled a success and advantage. I have 3 light side pips. So I spend all 3 pips, and that's 1 success and 1 advantage.
Okay, so what I'm going to say is you do manage to forge this connection. You do feel that link kind of going out. And Ed, I would like you to describe to the rest of the crew what this feels like, what they experience, how it works for each of them, because it's your power, and I think it's important that you get the narrative on this. What I will say as an adjunct is, knowing that you're looking at doing a kind of a groups-focused group meditation stroke group seek afterwards, that advantage will give you a boost die to the follow-up roll, I think is mechanically how that's going to work. But I'm going to let you take the lead on describing how this feels like to the rest of the crew.
So we get a crane shot of the party, and it's a slow motion crane shot. So it pans over. We get a really cool art shot of a cup of tea, and at one point everything slows. And it starts off really slowly, where it's just passing balls to each other, and the odd bit of chuckling and the odd bit of someone says something silly. It kind of slows down, but as that kind of gets faster and faster, our perceptions slow down, and everyone sees as the ball comes towards you. You get the opportunity to miss, and there's like 100 options to miss, and the 2 options to catch, and then throw. And then as we get faster and faster and faster, we don't realise, because our own perceptions are so slowed down, that it actually looks. So essentially the crane shot goes over, and you see us messing around, and then you get the slow down look of the balls moving across, and kind of a full arc shot of balls. And Agatha does a thing where he punches a ball and it goes across, and then he grabs 3 and then throws them at everyone, because he's absolutely confident that will work, and it does. And by the time we've finished, there's absolute chaos going on, where we're all throwing balls left, right and centre, and it's an incredible display of concentration. And then something happens and it stops. There's a beep, and then it all ends. But for the briefest of moments, everything was kind of perfectly coordinated, and all possible good outcomes could be seen.
I'd like something to have happened in the midst of that.
Yeah.
We might need a perception tester if anybody see whether any spotted it. At one point, Agatha wasn't using his hands. His hands didn't contact the ball.
Cool.
I think rather than a perception test, because of how in tune each of you were with each other, I think that they, assuming you're happy with this, Ross, that everybody noticed that, but in the moment, that seemed right. Because of course it did, because you were all so in sync with each other, and with that split-second awareness of what was about to happen before it happened, it made perfect sense that ball that there is no way that Agatha could possibly have caught, Agatha caught it and threw it over. And yes, the harmony shatters, and the balls kind of all fall to the floor, the juggling balls kind of thudding around you.
Jiren picks itself off the floor and says, "Okay, who threw the cup?" That was impressive.
That's something we can work between us to achieve.
Well, I could not only see the potential paths for the balls that were thrown to me, I could see the potential paths for the balls that were thrown to all 3 of you as well.
But I felt like a bloomin' pranny.
A what?
A bloomin' pranny, it's a type of flower.
Oh, it's the one that runs on its roots. It like pulls itself out and shrieks, and then runs on its roots. That one.
Yeah, that's the one. It pulls itself and screams. Screams it does. And that is what Lassa felt like.
Out of everyone in the group, you could probably tell that Lassa was having the most issues with this, because it was doing things without a defined purpose. It was just keep throwing until something happens, and she took the longest to get into it.
Also, Agatha was throwing balls at you. This is not going to help her stay.
Okay.
I have never felt like that before.
Well, it's being part of a team, family.
That's sort of what the Force looks like to me, which is why it's changed everything about me. Okay, let's see if we can find Pyjak.
Oh yes, lovely, brilliant.
Yes, let's do that.
Oberon turns around to Vitaara and says, Vitaara, we're going to do something else now. Again, do you want to observe or participate?
I think it's better if at least someone doesn't be involved in this.
That's a very good point. I have no idea what the cost of this is to me. Let's find out.
Do we want to stop that beeping noise from happening again?
Yes, I think we should maybe turn off that alarm. Vitaara?
Hang on, it's just the urn, refilling itself.
Yes, you manage to make this room free of distractions. Unless it's narratively appropriate that it's not.
Yeah, we do some fret, then we forgot something.
I've got 3 banked, remember?
Yeah. So, the orb is in the centre of the table.
Oberon psychs himself up slightly. I really want a stiff drink right now. I know it's a terrible idea.
Jiren goes into his bag and pulls out a bottle of whiskey. It's about half empty. And then he puts his finger up before you say anything, pulls into his bag and pulls out a little baggie full of green and blue crystals.
Not touching those, but thank you for the offer.
Okay. I take one, put it in my mouth, put it back. It's just calming salve.
You sly dog.
Well, that is the stuff. Okay, let's do this.
I will have a shot of that when we're done, I think. I think I might need it.
Vitaara, I'd like to tell you that we aren't generally a group fueled by substance abuse, but we are having a bit of a trying time at the moment.
No, that's just me.
I'm just disappointed you didn't pass the bottle.
Feel free. He pulls out of his bag and pulls out some little metal shot glasses, which he puts on the table.
Thank you.
It's Corellian.
Oberon pours one for himself and puts it to one side.
Agatha's still good with the cup of tea he had a little while ago.
Same.
The one good thing about prison was it was very useful for getting dry. Right, come on. Let's give this a go. Okay, what am I rolling, Adam? I'm orb in one hand, crystal in the other hand, and someone's holding me by the shoulders, I'm assuming?
No, not by the shoulders. As you put your hand on the orb, Jiren reaches over with his hand and puts his hand on your wrist, just above where you're touching the orb.
That works. Okay.
Oh, are we all meant to be touching?
I think so, if you want to see what happens.
All right, let's have a go.
Adam, I'm using Seek, but I'm also using for See and Sense. So I'm using all of them. Sense I'm using so I can, keep in contact with everyone else in the circle. For See so I can give myself an edge. And then Seek to do the actual thing.
Okay, so as for this roll, mechanically, Seek is the power that we're going to be using here. The other 2 powers that you have to build and maintain that link with the group, I'm going to bake them in. You don't need to spend extra force points on using those powers as part of it. It's all part of this whole experience that you're focusing on here. Okay. So, normally, a Seek roll to find somebody else, it's just a flat roll your force rating roll. However, there is, and I don't want to give the game away too much just here, there is what could be described as active opposition to this power being used. So unusually, I am going to make you have to make a skill roll, and it is going to be a discipline test, because it's putting your will against the will of somebody else. Okay? I'm spending a dark side point, and the difficulty that you'll be rolling against, Ed, is 1 red, 2 purple. Now, additional kind of qualifies for you. Because of the nature of the lightsaber crystal you're using, and because at the moment that link with the lightsaber crystal, with the kyber crystal, is still fresh, that's going to give you a boost die. Your advantage from the previous roll, that's going to give you a boost die. And you're using the orb, aren't you?
Yes.
Right. This is what the orb does in this circumstance. you roll 2 additional force die. However, you have to use the pips it rolls. You do not get a choice. So if you roll dark side, you have to use the dark side points that rolls and take the conflict and the stress. That is the price of using the orb.
Okay, I caramba.
J'approuve. I like this.
Does the party object to me using spending another force die?
Yeah.
Go for it.
No problem.
One thing I would say for this skill roll, could we convince Adam for any of us also with discipline to add boost dice for our helping, seeing as we're all attuned? Basically, to use our disciplines as well.
Yes, but I'm gonna just twist that a little bit then. What I'll say instead, Edis, is instead of getting the boost die from your advantage, you can use this as a combined test, which means you get to use the highest discipline and highest willpower amongst the group.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Because you still have that connection, but any consequences on you.
Okay, who has... because mine's only 2 dice.
Unsurprisingly, I don't have a great deal of a willpower, but I do have one rank in discipline, so that's...
Yeah, I'm saying 1 discipline, 2 willpower.
I've got no ranks in discipline. My willpower is 2. There we go.
So it's 1 yellow and 1 green is your default roll, Ed.
And a boost for Ross, because he's got a...
And a boost for Ross.
I'm flipping a light side point, so I've rolled 1 success and 2 advantage, just on the roll alone, plus 3 light side pips, and am I now rolling the orb?
Yep, so your roll from your own powers then, 1 success, 1 advantage, 3 light side points.
Yeah.
And yes, what does the orb give you?
That's 2 dark side and 1 light side.
Okay, so the final tick for this is 4 light side, 2 dark side, because you have to use them, which means that you take 2 strain, because there is that dark side pull in there as well, and you will gain 2 conflict. You've only got the basic power in Seek, haven't you?
Yeah.
Now, normally, it costs 2 of those force points, and it gives you a rough detail and direction. However, because of the power of the orb flowing through you, and this feels very strange to you, Oberon, because you close your eyes, you cast your mind into the lightsaber crystal, and you feel that precognition, that pull, that wanting to look forward. And you harness that with your own ability to look forward. And then you cast out your mind and capture the minds of your friends, pulling them into this web, channeling their will, their focus, their dedication, those relationship ties between you, everything that knits you together as a crew. And you use that to build yourself a vessel, a construct of your mind. A rocket ship, shall we say. And then you reach for the power source. And as you open yourself to the orb, you realise for the first time what Lassa has been saying about it since she did similar. This is a vast well of power. And you start to draw from it slowly at first, but then it's like you've opened the floodgates and you can't control what's being drawn from it. And a torrent of energy flows into you, filling every fibre of your body. And as well as this glorious, blinding ecstasy, this feeling of rightness, there are these coils within it, like it is waiting for you to slip up. It reminds you of all the times you did the easy thing instead of the right thing. Every time you looked away, every time you rested on your privilege instead of sacrificing, every time you said, I want, when what you instead meant was, I would like. Every time you took because it was your right as a brick to do so. But that's not necessarily all bad, because you can feel the answer you're seeking just trying to slip out of your grasp. You can feel that there is a will in opposition to you. A cold, dark will. A will that is powered by hatred and pain and disgust and self-loathing and sorrow and thousands of mistakes made for the right reason to the wrong end. Thousands of chances taken and the dice rolling badly. And you set yourself in opposition to this will. And this is a powerful will. This is a mighty will. That level of hatred is so strong, and it nearly pushes you away. And the rest of the crew can feel this titanic struggle, because each of you, having opened yourself up to Oberon and having allowed yourself be drawn into this conflict, you can feel this surge, this battle between the two, between the will of Coldfire's mercy, the crew of you, the friendships you forged, against this implacable darkness. And then, Oberon, in your mind you go, no, I am a brick, and I will have what is due to me. And you seize with your hand what you're looking for. Pyjak is currently travelling Corward. There is someone waiting for him there, and wherever he is going is cold and familiar. You wake up.
During that vision, the party, the hand, the visual image of the hand will have had a signet ring on it, and it would have been a very specific, distinct hand, because it all looked like a brick signet ring and hand and that sort of thing. Have my eyes done the cool black special effect thing?
Yes, they have.
That was too much. That hurts.
And I'm going to spend my banked threat, and all of you take a strain from the fallout as that link breaks, and you suddenly realise that for however long, none of you have been breathing, and there is that ragged as Oberon's will lets you go.
It takes a second, and Jiren removes his hand from Oberon's wrist, and very slowly reaches into his pocket, opens up the bag of blue and green crystals, and takes another one.
I'll have that whiskey now.
That was bloomin' amazing. Phenomenal.
You see what I was talking about, though? You need to have somebody to control it. We could do that because of Oberon. I couldn't do that. You couldn't do that.
The power is very dangerous.
I've done that. I used it.
You've done different things.
Aye, but I can control it fine.
Yeah, exactly. There needs to be a conduit. Anyway.
Is anyone still touching the orb at the moment?
Well, I think Oberon was the only one touching it.
Yeah, he was the only one touching it.
I've completely let go.
Okay.
Can we make each other a promise at this point? If we do use this again, can we make sure that we never use this alone?
Oh, come on! Out of everything, you saw that Lassa was uncomfortable playing with juggling balls because she felt very childish and a bit silly. But this, she's enthused by. She's very intrigued by it. You can see that she's been quite animated by the experience.
One of us should always be watching over when we use this. I feel it's... I feel...
That I'll agree with.
Lassa, I'll sit with you while you play with it.
I don't think we should play with it too much. And I'm using play with it in a very derogatory way. But if the power in this could very easily be used. And I think you're right, it shouldn't be used alone. I don't think we'd all have to be there, but certainly you'd need, like dealing with a dangerous power core, you don't go in a one-man team. You need two people there for safety, to make sure that you can let go if something goes wrong.
I agree.
But I also think that this could be used up. If someone was to open the floodgates and not be able to control it, it would damage them and also deplete the power source.
It's good to know that Prinkle is a good example. It is a very powerful thing, and we should treat it with respect. Jiren drops his bag next to it, opens it up, and with his foot kicks it in.
We had quite a long conversation on the Coldfire's Mercy about what we were going to do when we brought it here. Are we not giving it to Vitaara then?
Vitaara's eyes light up.
I think, Vitaara, for travel off of this planet, I would certainly be happy for you to study it. But I think it's probably a little dangerous for just one person to have.
And as much as I hate to say this, it might be very tricky for someone without the Force to be able to study it very well, because you need someone to be able to use it to study it.
I could help you study it. We all could.
But it sounds like you don't have an awful lot of time.
No, we don't.
We have a pilot. We could study it on the way.
I need some astrogation charts. Vitaara, do you have any astrogation charts to hand? I need to plug some things up.
I don't have charts, but Deet tends to do my astrogation for me.
Deet turns around from the door and just nods very eagerly with a big old smile on his terrifying droid face.
Vitaara, with your permission, Deet, can you pull up some displays for me? And I try and figure out where I've just been in my mind.
Oh yes, mistress. Is that permitted?
Yes, of course, Deet.
Oh, very good. I do so enjoy this. It's nice to use my mind instead of my brawn and my massive cannon.
And there's that big old smile. And I think as Deet walks over to the table where you are, and a projector pops out of his left shoulder and starts projecting a map of the galaxy, I think that is where I'm going to end it for this episode. Thank you very much to the cast. Thank you very much to Lou for Vitaara-ing for us again. And thank you very much for listening, everybody. Stay safe, look after yourselves, wear a mask, and we will see you next time.
Force Majeure is played using the Star Wars Force and Destiny game system by Fantasy Flight Games and Lucas Books. Our intro music for this season is Unholy Night by Kevin MacLeod, and our outro music remains Suburban Outlaw by Forget the Whale, both used with gratitude under the Creative Commons license. If you like the show and want to interact with us, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, all of which are at Force Majeure Pod, though Twitter is probably where you're going to find us more regularly. If you enjoy what we do and want to support the show, there's 3 ways you can do that. The first is via our Patreon at patreon.com/forcemajeurepod. The second is by buying us a coffee at ko-fi.com/forcemajeurepod. And the third way is by rating and reviewing us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere where you can find us. We really like reviews. It tells us that we're telling the stories that you want to hear and helps other people find us. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.